Hello everyone, I'm Yao from Nantong Hero JiuJing. Many people think the Marksman role is just brainless attack spam, standing in the back and holding down basic attacks. But if you want to evolve from a random carry into a true core who dominates games and leads your team to victory, there's a lot more depth to it. In today's lesson, I'm going to share all my best kept experience. This isn't just a simple hero guide, but a complete system of thinking for the Marksman role. We'll go from laning details, mid-game tempo, and economy management, all the way to teamfight fundamentals, my style of survival philosophy, and core hero pool. There's a lot of valuable content. Let's get started. First, early game laning principles for farm lane. Turning details into pressure. Laning is about absolute pressure, but pressure isn't mindless aggression. It comes from your calculations of HP, minion waves, and overall map vision. 1. Micro of lane priority and wave management. If you want to be powerful in the early game laning phase, you must firmly remember this detail. Never proactively use skills to clear the first minion. Why is this? Because when the minion waves meet, the first minion will attract the aggro of all enemy minions, so its health drops the fastest. When the first minion is cleared, the minions will enter a 3 vs 2 situation, and the opponent can give up clearing the wave to press forward, forcing you out of the EXP zone. You then have only two choices. 1. Endure the enemy marksman's damage to take the minion wave. 2. Give up the minion wave to preserve your health. The first choice will make you lose competitiveness when contesting neutral resources like the HOK. Both of these choices will make your subsequent laning very passive. Conversely, when your opponent proactively uses skills to clear the first minion in the early game, you can also use this method to deal with him. Here, I also want to introduce an advanced technique for everyone: wave freezing. No matter the circumstances, we can create a situation where the next wave must meet in front of our defense tower by stalling the enemy's last minion without clearing it and keeping it in front of the tower. With this laning method, when we have the advantage, the opponent must walk out of the safety zone to take the wave, making it easier for us to poke down the opponent's health. When we are at a disadvantage, we can stably last hit minions under the tower, creating larger gank space for the mid laner and jungler. 2. Health gambling, damage-free trading. In marksman laning, whoever has healthy HP has the right to speak. You must know how to utilize the enemy's skill cooldown periods to poke him. Here, everyone needs to remember the core early game skills of every marksman. For example, Ali's skill 2, Fang's skill 2, and Consort Yu's skill 2 are all core skills that can help them achieve efficient health trading in the early game. What we need to do is bait out these skills during the laning phase. This way, even if the hero chosen by the opponent is strong in laning, we can still gain an advantage during laning health trades and roll the snowball. Perhaps many students cannot understand this knowledge point just by listening. Let me give everyone an example. For instance, at this time I'm playing Lady Sun, and the opponent has chosen Arlie. Then, during laning, I will use skill 1 at the edge of Arlie's skill 2, giving her an illusion that I want to fight her, but in reality, I use the skill 1 to quickly pull back, baiting out her skill 2. After she releases skill 2, he has an 11-second cooldown period. As long as she shows up during these 11 seconds, we can poke on her, or even get a kill. 3. Anti-gank awareness and vision control. Die once, and all your early laning details go to waste. Cultivate the habit of looking at the mini-map once every 3 seconds. Timing method. At the start of the game, at 30 seconds, the mid lane finishes clearing the minion wave and might come to participate in the farm lane Firehawk contest. At 1 minute 20 seconds, the jungler reaches level 4 and might mobilize the mid, jungler, and support together to gank. At the 4 minute and 10 minute neutral resources respawn, team fights may break out at any time, and you cannot get picked off. Key vision points, namely the 3 bushes in the river. You need to command your support to help you hold these 3 bushes in order to know the movements of the enemy mid and jungle. We can look at the first game of the 2022 KPL Summer Finals between Chongqing Wolves and E-Star Pro. When the match progressed to 1 minute 20 seconds, even though I had gained the lane priority advantage, I perceived through the vision provided by the support that the opponent's jungler was about to finish clearing the jungle area. Therefore, I immediately gave up poking Meng Tian's health and commanded the support to retreat back to the tower. Judging the opponent's offensive intentions and avoiding them in advance, is the first law of survival on the professional stage. Part 2. Mid-game, tempo and rotation. When you've gained an advantage in the farm lane and taken the T1 tower, many beginner marksmen get lost. They keep staying in the bottom lane, fighting around the T2 tower against the enemy. That's a huge mistake. Lane swapping to expand the advantage. After pushing down the T1 tower in the bottom lane, your primary task is to liberate yourself and radiate influence across the entire map. You can lead your teammates to push according to this route. Clash lane T1 tower, mid lane T1 tower, clash lane T2 tower or farm lane T2 tower, mid lane T2 tower, clash lane high ground or farm lane high ground, mid lane high ground. You must firmly remember that your task is to push towers. Through pushing towers, you achieve the goal of compressing the opponent's farming space. At the same time, you can choose heroes who push towers quickly, such as Fang and Direnji, or heroes like Luban No. 7 and Lady Sun, who can grind down towers from outside the tower's range to achieve this goal. 2. Invade the jungle. Every time a tower is down, it is equivalent to our activity space expanding a bit more, and the flanking space when invading the jungle is also larger. Therefore, when taking down the farm lane T1 tower, assembling the jungler to invade the farm lane half map is also a good choice. Through continuous control of jungle resources, you compress the opponent's farming and roll an even larger snowball. This style of play is more suitable for farm lane heroes with many gap closer and strong jungle combat capabilities, such as Marco Polo and Ali. Part 3. Maximize farming and gold. Whenever people watch matches, they often comment, "How does Yao Dao already have full items again?" There's no secret, just extreme efficiency in farming. Economy is the only foundation that allows a marksman to take over the game. 1. The triangle farming route. Maximizing every second. Between a cleared wave and the next wave, there's a 10 to 15 second window. That window determines whether you are a normal player or a top-tier marksman. Never stand idle under a tower. Clear wave. Farm a small camp in your jungle, such as Firebeak. Rotate mid to catch a wave or help mid gain priority. Return to bottom for the next wave. This triangle route allows your goal per minute to easily exceed 800. The most critical step here is helping the mid lane take lane priority. In this step, you can not only maximize goal by sharing wave goal with teammates, but also bring the mid lane along to rotate down, creating a numbers advantage on the lane to form suppression. If you find that the opponent's mid lane only has the mid laner alone, you can cooperate with the mid and support to cause a kill, or even push down the most important mid lane T1 tower of the early game. 2. The ultimate decision. Fight or farm. Not every fight needs to be taken. Don't become someone who gives meaningless rotations. Before fighting, ask yourself, can we win if I join? If we win, can we take towers or dragons? How many waves will I lose if I leave? If a fight breaks out in the top lane while you have a full wave of cannon minions pushing bot, the correct call is to tell your teammates, "I'm not going, I'm clearing wave." If you force a rotation, fail to secure the fight, lose your bot tower, and miss multiple waves, your game is basically over from that point onward. When you choose not to engage in a team fight, it is not the case that you no longer have responsibilities. You still need to find opportunities to strike down the opponent marksman's health or key skills, making him unable to participate in the team fight. This is what you can do when not participating in the team fight. Part 4. Team fight rules. Position and target. Team fights are the only real test of whether a marksman is qualified. The 15 minutes of farming are all for those critical 10 seconds of a fight. 1. Golden position, an imaginary enemy. Thinking. Always stand behind your tankiest teammate, or within the range of a support with strong protecting capabilities, such as Zhang Fei or Zhen Ren. However, relying solely on the support or frontline protection is definitely not enough. The best positioning needs 3 people, you, the peel role, and the front line to form a triangle. In this way, you will not take damage due to overlapping positions, and you can also cover each other with the peel role, forming a mutual protection situation. When the band pick ends, you need to judge clearly. In your own lineup, who is the front line and who is the peel role? In the opponent's lineup, which hero poses a threat to you? For example, in this deciding game of the 2026 KPL Spring where we faced AG, once the lineups were selected, we could make a judgment. The front line on our side is Su Li, the flanking role is Guan Yu, and since I, as Chano, Xiao Chao, and Agudo are all long-range carries, we can act as peel roles for each other. Regarding the opponent's lineup, Charlotte and Fade are flanking roles. Arlie and Hai Yue both pose a threat to me before they use their key skills. Therefore, during team fights, I must pay attention. In which direction did the opponent's flanker last show vision? Generally, the opposite direction of where they last showed vision will be the direction from which they flank. Have the opponent's key skills, such as Hai Yue's ultimate and Arlie's skill 2, been used? If they haven't been used, we should try our best to avoid facing them directly in team fights. This is imaginary enemy thinking. 2. Team fight target priority. Many farm lane players want to bypass the front line in team fights to hit the opposing carries. In fact, this makes it very easy to get surrounded during the team fight. The most correct team fight output priority should be opponent front line, opponent flanker, opponent carry. Of course, this priority does not apply to all scenarios. When the opponent's flanker is already on your face posing a threat to you, this priority has already changed to opponent flanker, opponent front line, opponent carry. And when the hero you have picked possesses flanking attributes, such as Arlie, you need to pay attention to the opponent's core skills and switch target from the enemy front line to the enemy back line at the appropriate moment during the team fight. Part 5. Survival equals damage output. Many fans joke that I'm a Yao Dao style marksman, saying my builds are tanky and I play like a turtle. Let me clarify, this isn't being a coward. It's a very simple esports truth. Only if you're alive, you can deal damage. The value of defensive items is far greater than you think. If you go for a full damage build, your stats may look high, but your margin for error is 0. If you get deleted in the first second of a fight, your damage is literally 0. As long as you stay alive, you can still continuously output damage. At that point, the enemy can no longer freely push your towers. Also, be flexible on items. Remember, never blindly copy recommended builds. After completing your core 3 items, usually Sparkforged Dagger, Doomsday, Daybreaker, immediately check the scoreboard. If the enemy physical assassins or fighter assassins have a great amount of gold, such as Fade, Lam, etc., supplement with an ominous premonition. This can effectively increase your win rate when countering physical flankers in team fights. If the opponent's hero lineup has a lot of magical damage, for example, they chose a normal mid lane mage and also chose Eren in the farm lane or Luna jungler. For this kind of lineup with 2 or even more magical carry positions, Succubus Cloak must be built. When I pick D Renji, I often use a semi-tank build. I dare to stand at the front to attack enemy because I know he cannot burst me down in one combo. Meanwhile, my teammates will also help to peel, and I can defeat them all through lifesteal and continuous basic attacks. At the same time, everyone must also remember, building tank items does not mean giving up damage. Some marksmen, when paired with specific tank items, can improve output efficiency while preserving their lives. For example, Direnji, Blood Rage. The item passive carries a basic attack boost effect, which is very suitable for heroes like Direnji, who have high-frequency basic attacks. Cuirass of Savagery. The passive directly increases damage percentage and movement speed. Combined with the high movement speed provided by Direnji's passive, it allows for better kiting in team fights. Marco Polo. Frostgar's Embrace. Both Marco Polo's Skill 1 and Ultimate carry passive effects. In matches where you cannot get the red buff, building a Frostgar's Embrace can effectively keep people in place. Frigid Charge. Cooperating with the summoner skill Stun to execute a double stun can maximize Marco Polo's ultimate output efficiency. Part 6. Ban Pick. Unless you are in a state of particular self-confidence, I do not suggest that everyone selects farm lane heroes too early during BP. If you select a farm lane hero too early and get targeted, not only will you play very uncomfortably, but it will also greatly reduce the win rate. Here I will teach everyone some BP details. 1. Compositions. A strong marksman support duo can not only suppress the opponent's farm lane on the line, but also lead teammates toward victory. Next, I bring everyone some strong marksman support compositions, hoping to help everyone win victories in their matches. Mosey plus Shou Yue or Consort Yu. So, everyone knows that Shou Yue and Consort Yu are marksmen with long-range poke methods, but they rely heavily on hit rate. When a teammate selects Mosey, Shou Yue or Consort Yu can release skills after Mosey's skill 2 hits to achieve health suppression. Dolia and Ho Yi. During the ultimate battle of the 2024 KPL Spring Finals, the Wolves selected this composition at that time, and I was that Ho Yi. This composition has impressive laning strength, but the most powerful part is Ho Yi's long-range initiation capability. By utilizing Ho Yi's ultimate and cooperating with teammates' burst damage, you can achieve the effect of picking off opponents. Even if Ho Yi's ultimate does not hit the first time, Dolia can refresh the ultimate for Ho Yi again, catching the opponent off guard. Marco Polo plus Yao. After items bashfully built, Marco Polo's skill 1 can take down a tank's health very quickly, but the problem of being unable to hit often occurs. However, Yao's skill 1 can help Marco Polo with control, improving Marco Polo's skill 1 hit rate. When entering with the ultimate, Yao attaches to increase Marco Polo's tankiness and can also get off to use passive to block skills for Marco Polo. 2. Selecting heroes based on opponent lineup. Selecting a farm lane hero late during BP has another benefit, which is that you can adjust your own choice based on the opponent's lineup to achieve a counter effect. For example, when the opponent selects a clumsy lineup, you can select flexible heroes like Arlie and Aaron to counter. When the opponent's lineup is tanky, you can select heroes who hit tanks quickly, such as Luben, Nom 7, and Marco Polo. When the opponent selects a lineup with many gap closers, you can select heroes with strong survival capabilities like Consort Yu and Ao Yin to counter. 3. Selecting heroes based on your own lineup. In the previous teamfight section, we simply divided teamfight labor into 3 types: flanker, frontline, and carry. But in reality, the division of labor throughout the entire match is not just this simple. We can divide the tasks into the following parts: teamfight initiation, taking damage, damage output, flanking and finishing, map control, and jungling. The lineup selected by teammates might have missing parts in these divisions of labor. At this time, we need to compensate. For example, the Hu Yi mentioned earlier can use the long-range initiation of his ultimate to compensate for the team's insufficient initiation capability. If teammates select a lineup with 0 flanking or weak flanking, we are suited to select Arlie to flank and finish cleanups. Part 7. Hero Tutorials. A top-level KPL. Marksmen cannot have only 1 or 2 signature heroes. They must have an unfathomable hero pool to adapt to the team's tactical system. Finally, I will deeply deconstruct a few of my signature heroes for everyone. As a professional player in the farm lane, Arlie is a hero you must master. She is the peak of marksman mechanics. All 3 of Arlie's active skills allow her to displace back and forth, making her a marksman with ultra-high mobility. Precisely because of this, she possesses flanking attributes rarely seen in other marksmen, making her positioning in team fights more flexible. Item recommendation: Boots of Dexterity, Sparkforged Dagger, Doomsday, Daybreaker, Eternity Blade, Sun Chaser. Among these, Sun Chaser is relatively not a strict requirement and can be replaced by other tank items. Skill analysis. Arlie actually does not have very fixed combos. However, you must remember a few key points for skill usage in team fights. Although the umbrella being out of Arlie's hand can shorten the interval between basic attacks, it is not the case that you should keep the umbrella out of hand at all times during a team fight. If you use too many of your skills while outputting damage to the front line, it is very easy to be found and instantly killed by the opponent's flanking heroes. Arlie is very fragile. You must save skills to deal with gap closers. Arlie's skill 2 can knock down flying objects and has a relatively long cooldowns, so you must be cautious when using it. However, you must not save it when you need to block the opponent's key skills, such as Ho Yi's ultimate or Kong Ming's ultimate. These are skills that can change the game, and if you can block them, you must block them. Ollie's ultimate pushes an umbrella in a designated direction while causing a knockback, and she can displace to the umbrella's location. Although this is a control skill, we do not start teamfights with the ultimate. The reason to save this skill is that it allows for both offense and defense. When an opponent's assassin gap closes, I can use this skill to push away the opponent and counterattack. D-Renji. This hero is suitable for players just starting to practice the farm lane. The skill mechanics are simple, the laning strength is not weak, and he is very easy to get familiar. Compared to Ali, his role in teamfights is relatively singular, but his suppression power on the line is not inferior to Ali at all. He pushes towers very quickly and can rapidly resolve the front line in teamfights. He is a stationary marksman who is not that afraid of being flanked. Item recommendation: Boots of Fortitude, Sparkforged Dagger, Doomsday, Deep Frost Siege, Blood Rage, Succubus Cloak. This hero can quickly accumulate attack speed through his passive, thereby triggering more item passives. Therefore, in terms of equipment, we choose many items with basic attack effects to maximize this advantage of D-Renji. Skill analysis. D-Renji is also a hero without fixed combos. However, I still want to bring some small tips to everyone to help you better get started with this hero. D-Renji's passive requires maintaining continuous basic attacks. When not in combat, we can attack the air to maintain the passive duration. This way, once we enter a combat state, we do not need to restack the passive. I believe everyone knows that D-Renji's skill 2 can remove debuffs, but it can only remove a debuff once. It is not like the summoner skill Purify, which can continuously provide immunity to debuff. For example, when I'm playing D-Renji and get hit by Dharma's skill 1, if I use skill 2 to remove the control, I still have a high probability of being controlled again by Dharma's ultimate. Therefore, the correct way should be to remove the control after Dharma uses skill 1 and his ultimate, and then use flash to dodge. This is using skill 2 to remove critical control. D-Renji's item, Daybreaker, is not a must. This is because D-Renji's ultimate can cause an effect that reduces the physical and magical defense of the enemy for 5 seconds. This skill is simply a nightmare for the opponent's tanks. After being hit, it's not just that D-Renji's damage to the tank becomes higher, but everyone on D-Renji's side can kill the tank more easily. Therefore, we don't need to save the ultimate. Many people think about saving this skill for the opponent's initiator or carry during team fights, but in fact, throwing it at the tank is the best choice for the team. Alright, today's class is coming to an end. To summarize, refined laning details are your foundation, optimized farming routes are your economic backbone, and teamfight positioning combined with the philosophy of survival is what determines whether you can become a top-tier marksman. There are no shortcuts in esports. Behind every perfect micro outplay is hundreds of hours of repetitive practice. I hope this lesson helps you truly unlock the farm lane's full potential. Looking forward to your growth. I'm Yao Dao. See you on the battlefield.